Hi everyone, welcome to the Highlights from Ukraine podcast, your daily audio summary of the latest news reported in the Ukrainian media. My name is Artem, and here is the news. 969 days less the Russian invasion of Ukraine. French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot visited Ukraine for the first time in office, reports Ukrainska Pravda. In Kyiv, he said that Ukraine is fighting not only for its independence and territorial integrity, but also holds the front line that divides Europe and Vladimir Putin's Russia, divides freedom and oppression. Barrot has said he supports the victory plan proposed by President Volodymyr Zelenskyy and seeks to rally as many countries as possible around it. Quote, "A Russian victory would be a consecration for the law of the strongest and would push the international order toward chaos," unquote, said the minister. Moreover, he said that France is open to the idea of inviting Ukraine to join NATO. At the same time, the French minister added that negotiations with the allies on this issue will continue. From Kyiv, he plans to travel to Ukraine's northeast to meet with the Ukrainian military. Barrot's visit is his first visit to Kyiv since the start of Michel Barnier's government. Before that, Barrot and Ukraine's foreign minister Andriy Sybiha met for the first time in Paris during President Volodymyr Zelenskyy's European tour with his victory plan. In his evening video address, the Ukrainian president expressed his gratitude to France, President Macron, and all of French society for supporting Ukraine and its victory plan. We would really appreciate if you could rate us, ideally with 5 stars, and leave a glowing review in the app where you're listening to this podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and others. This really helps more people to find out about the highlights from Ukraine and truth about Russia's invasion. Financial Times informs based on sources that the United States is ready to provide Ukraine with up to $20 billion as part of a G7 loan to be repaid from the proceedings generated by frozen Russian assets, reports Suspilne. According to the article, Western officials are eager to release funding to Kyiv before year's end. They are aware that if Donald Trump wins the US presidential election in November, future US aid to Ukraine risks being cut off. The group of 7 nations have been engaged in months of discussions regarding the framework of the $50 billion loan agreed upon in June. Recently, it appeared that Washington's contribution might fall short of initial expectations due to EU's inability to ensure that Russian assets would remain frozen for a minimum of 3 years. However, on Friday, US officials told their G7 counterparts that Washington would provide the full initial amount, about $20 billion. They said this would be possible even if the EU failed to persuade Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban to remove his veto on extending EU sanctions, a condition Washington has demanded. The G7 finance ministers meeting in Washington on 25th of October on the sidelines of IMF and World Bank meetings are expected to issue a statement on the allocation and structure of the loan, 2 people familiar with this matter said. A source familiar with negotiations mentioned that a final agreement has yet to be reached as the US continues to discuss repayment details with members of Congress and Ukraine alike. Thank you for listening to the Highlights from Ukraine podcast. We're a commercial initiative of just 2 people and we need your help to grow. Share information about the podcast, rate us in the app, subscribe to our Patreon. With your support, we're getting better. We call on you to demand from governments of your countries to impose the toughest sanctions possible on Russia and its citizens to stop their invasion of Ukraine.